Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Learn English at Home. I'm your host, Monica.
And I'm Ethan. We're so glad you could join us again for another conversation.
We are. And you know, Ethan, I was looking through some old photos the other day from when I was about 20 years old. It really got me thinking.
Oh, really? In a good way or a bad way?
A little bit of both, which is why I thought it would be a perfect topic for today's episode. We're going to talk about things I wish I knew at 20.
Ah, a fantastic topic. It's one of those universal questions, isn't it? If you could go back in time, what advice would you give your younger self? I'm sure our listeners have thought about this too.
I'm sure they have. So let's dive in. Ethan, have you ever really sat down and thought about what you would tell your 20-year-old self?
Oh, definitely. It's a mix of practical advice and maybe some emotional reassurance. What about you? When you were looking at those photos, what was the first thing that came to mind?
Honestly, the first feeling was a wave of regret, just a little bit of sadness for that young woman in the picture.
Regret is a strong word. Why do you say that?
Because I remember how much I used to worry. I was in a constant state of anxiety about the future. I felt this immense pressure to choose the right career, a career that was safe and secure, even if it wasn't my passion.
Mm-hmm. The safe choice.
Yes, and I worried that time was running out, which is crazy to think about now. At 20, you have so much time, but it felt like all my friends were on a fast track. They were getting into serious relationships, they had internships at big companies, they had a 5-year plan.
Right? It can feel like everyone is moving forward except you. Absolutely. That pressure of the 5-year plan is immense. It's like we're handed this invisible checklist when we turn 20. Get a degree, start a career, find a serious partner, buy a car, and it feels like a race.
Exactly. I felt so lost and behind schedule. I wish I could just go back and tell myself, hey, it's okay. It's okay to not know. It's okay to explore and make mistakes. I also regret not traveling more. I had the time and freedom, but I was always saving money for something responsible. I wish I had just bought the plane ticket.
Bought the plane ticket. I like that.
And don't even get me started on finances. I wish I knew the power of compound interest back then. If I had just started saving a tiny amount of money each month, it would be a small fortune today.
Monica, I understand everything you're saying. I truly do. But I want to offer a different perspective. That feeling of being lost, of making mistakes, of worrying, it's not just normal, it's necessary.
Necessary? How so?
Your 20s are supposed to be a little messy. It's the decade where you're supposed to try things and fail. That's how you learn who you are and what you actually want from life. We look back with our current wisdom and judge our past selves, but that's not fair.
That's a good point. We didn't know then what we know now.
Exactly. Your 20-year-old self was doing her best. Instead of regret, maybe we can try to feel some compassion for that person. I went through something similar.
Really?
Yes, I was absolutely convinced my life's purpose was to be a lawyer. I had this grand vision. It was the safe and prestigious path. I spent years studying for the entrance exams, ignoring other interests.
Mm-hmm.
And when I finally took the big exam, I failed. I didn't get into the law school I wanted, and my world came crashing down. My entire identity was tied to this one goal, and I felt like a complete and utter failure.
Wow, that must have been incredibly difficult.
It was devastating at the time. I had no backup plan. But now, looking back, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. That failure forced me to explore other options. It led me to discover my love for teaching and communication, which eventually brought me here. I would have been a miserable lawyer.
That's an amazing story. So sometimes our biggest perceived failures are actually guiding us in the right direction. That's really inspiring, Ethan. It reminds me of a smaller scale experience I had. I desperately wanted to get into a creative writing program at my university. I submitted my portfolio and I was rejected. I was heartbroken. I thought it meant I wasn't a good writer.
And what happened after that? Did you stop writing? And what happened after that? Did you stop writing?
For a while, yes, but then I realized that the rejection didn't have to define me. I started a blog, just for fun, to write about things I was passionate about. And slowly, over time, that blog grew into a community. It taught me that sometimes the no you receive is actually a redirection to something even better.
A redirection, not a rejection. I love that. It reframes the entire experience. It's not about being not good enough. It's about being guided toward a path that is a better fit for you, even if you can't see it at the time. This applies to so many areas of life, not just careers.
You know, all this talk about career and personal failures reminds me of another area where I felt completely lost at 20: relationships. A redirection, not a rejection. I love that. It reframes the entire experience. It's not about being not good enough. It's about being guided toward a path that is a better fit for you, even if you can't see it at the time. This applies to so many areas of life, not just careers.
Let me guess, comparing yourself to other people? Relationships. A classic challenge of the 20s. What was your experience?
Exactly. It was hard enough when I was 20, but now with social media, it feels almost impossible. I had this idea that I needed to find the one right away. I saw relationships as a destination, not a journey. I put so much pressure on every date, every interaction. I was trying to fit people into a preconceived notion of what my life should look like instead of just getting to know them.
That's a very common experience. We're fed these fairy tales from a young age, and we think that's how love is supposed to be. But real relationships are messy and complicated. They require patience, communication, and a willingness to grow together.
And something I wish I'd understood is that it's okay to be single. In fact, it's more than okay. It's a valuable time for self-discovery. I spent so much energy trying to find a partner that I forgot to build a relationship with myself.
You're absolutely right. Comparison is, as the saying goes, the thief of joy. And social media is like a giant curated museum of other people's perfect lives.
It is. I remember last month I was having a really boring Tuesday at home. I opened Instagram and the first thing I saw was a friend of mine on a beautiful beach in Thailand, and I instantly felt terrible about my own life. It created this FOMO, fear of missing out.
Right. But we have to remember, you're comparing your normal, everyday reality to their absolute best moment. You didn't see the stressful flight, the expensive hotel bill, or the day they got sick. You only saw the perfect photo.
That's so true. We're comparing our behind the scenes footage to their highlight reel.
It's an unwinnable game. The only person you should ever compare yourself to is the person you were yesterday. That is the only comparison that matters. Are you learning? Are you growing? Are you kinder than you were last year?
I love that. It shifts the focus from external validation to internal growth. So, what's a practical way to do that, to stop comparing?
One thing you can do is curate your social media feed. Unfollow accounts that make you feel bad about yourself. Follow people who inspire you and educate you. Or you can even take a social media detox for a week and see how you feel.
That's great advice. Okay, so this brings us to the big question. If we aren't supposed to worry about a master plan or compare ourselves to others, what should we be focusing on?
This is the most important thing I wish I knew at 20. It's the power of small, daily habits.
Small habits?
Yes. At 20, I thought life changed because of big, dramatic events. One job offer, one relationship, one lucky break. But that's not how it works. A good life is not built overnight. It's built brick by brick through the small, consistent actions you take every single day.
Can you give some examples?
Certainly, you don't get healthy by going to the gym for 8 hours on a Sunday. You get healthy by walking for 20 minutes every day. You don't become a great reader by reading one book a year. You do it by reading 10 pages every night before bed.
Right. Small, manageable steps.
Exactly. It's like planting a tree. For the first year, you barely see any change. But if you keep watering it, 10 years later you have this huge, beautiful tree that gives you shade. Those daily habits are like watering the tree. The results are not immediate, but they are powerful over time. This is called compounding.
Compounding. That's the same principle with saving money that I mentioned earlier.
It applies to everything: your health, your knowledge, your relationships, your skills. Meditating for 5 minutes a day, calling your mother once a week, practicing English for 5 minutes. These things seem tiny, but when you do them consistently for years, they transform your life.
That's so true. But I think a lot of people, including myself, struggle with the consistently part. We get really motivated for a few days, start a new habit, and then life gets in the way and we stop. Do you have any advice on how to make these small habits actually stick?
That's an excellent question, Monica. The key is to make the habit so small it's almost impossible not to do it. For example, instead of saying I'm going to exercise for an hour every day, start with I'm going to put on my workout clothes. That's it. Just that one small action. More often than not, once you've taken that first step, the next step doesn't feel so hard.
That's a great tip, the put on your workout clothes idea. It's all about reducing friction. Another related habit I wish I'd learned at 20 was the power of saying no. I used to be a yes person to a fault.
Oh, the yes person syndrome. That's a tough one to overcome. It often comes from a good place, right? You want to be helpful, you don't want to disappoint anyone.
Exactly. I was so worried about being liked that I would agree to everything, even when I was already overwhelmed with my own responsibilities. It led to a lot of burnout and resentment. Learning to say no politely but firmly was a game changer for my mental health. It makes so much sense. It takes the pressure off needing to make huge changes and just focuses on what you can do today.
Precisely. And here's a final thought on that. When you focus on improving yourself every day, you're not just building a better future for yourself. You think it's just about you, but it's much bigger.
What do you mean?
You are building a better foundation for the generations that come after you. When you become a healthier, wiser, more financially stable person, you have more to offer the world. You break negative family cycles and create positive new ones. You become a better role model for your children, a better support for your community.
That's such a beautiful and powerful way to think about it. It makes self improvement feel less selfish and more like a responsibility.
It is. It might be one of the most generous things you can do.
Wow, Ethan, this conversation has completely changed my perspective. I started by feeling regret, and now I just feel hopeful and motivated.
That's wonderful to hear, because it's all about learning from the past, not living in it, and focusing on building a great future, one small day at a time.
Well, that feels like a perfect place to start wrapping up today's episode. I think we've covered some really important ideas here.
I agree. Shall we summarize the key takeaways for our listeners?
Let's do it. So, number one, be kind to your past self. Stop feeling regret for what you didn't know. You were doing the best you could at the time.
Number 2, stop comparing yourself to others, especially on social media. Your journey is your own. The only person to compare yourself to is the person you were yesterday.
And finally, number 3, focus on building small, positive, daily habits. Success and happiness are not events. They are the result of your daily, consistent efforts.
And number 4, something we touched on but is worth repeating, learn to set boundaries. It's okay to say no to things that drain your energy or don't align with your values. Protecting your time and energy is not selfish. It's essential for your well-being. That's it. Simple ideas, but life-changing when you apply them. Maybe we can leave our listeners with a question to think about this week. What is one small, tiny habit you can start today that your future self will thank you for?
I love that, a little bit of homework. Thank you all so much for listening to Learn English at Home. We truly hope this conversation was helpful for you.
We'll be back next week with a brand new topic. We're going to be talking about how to practice your English speaking skills when you don't have a native speaker to talk to.
It's going to be a very practical episode with lots of great tips and tricks you can use every day, so be sure to tune in for that.
Until then, take care of yourselves and keep learning.
Goodbye, everyone.